I just learned about something extraordinary, an experiment from 2013 involving the world's first attempt at creating an artificial companion, a hitchhiking robot called Hitchbot, who successfully traveled across Canada, Germany, and the Netherlands. I learned about this from YouTube's mysterious algorithm, and I look back on my life as of 12 hours ago in disgust that I could be so ignorant to not know that this existed, and spent the next several hours researching everything there is to know about Hitchbot.
That was an historic first early today for Hitchbot. A couple heading out on a camping trip stopped to pick up the tiny talking robot for the premiere leg of what's hoped to be a 6,000-kilometer trek.
As advertised, Hitchbot was a Canadian robot who was on a journey of self-discovery. Created by two college professors, the goal was to see if robots could trust humans by traversing the Canadian terrain from Halifax to Victoria. Now, as the footage shows, Hitchbot was very primitive. They weren't exactly Bender from Futurama, so they heavily relied on the kindness of others in order to get where it was going. And it actually worked well at first. However, as the title of the video suggests, there was one thing neither Hitchbot or its creators accounted for: the city of Philadelphia.
Normally, I don't pick up hitchhikers, but take a look at this. How's it going?
Hello, I am Hitchbot.
Jump in.
You will have to pick me up.
All right, I'll come get you. All right, watch your head. Let's hit the road, Hitchy.
Now, the initial journey across Canada was honestly something straight out of a Darman movie. I almost shed a tear while watching. It was such a wholesome act from the kind-hearted people of Canada. Keep in mind, this was back in 2013. Robots couldn't make it on their own just yet. You know, humans didn't exactly rely on them like they do now with ChatGPT, and they weren't exactly self-sufficient like AI is today. So I watched this video, and it was nice to look back on a time where robots and humans could work in unison. How naive I was back in the 5th grade.
Their idea is simple. Drop the robot by the side of the road in Halifax and see if it can hitchhike by itself all the way to Victoria.
And it blinks, right? Hitchbot blinks?
It'll wink us.
Yeah.
And what was the idea behind the winking and the blinking and the smile?
Make it more sociable. Well, we need what people look for is some kind of human traces. So facial recognition, very often. So eyes and mouth is very important for us to really establish some kind of trust.
I'm actually impressed with how the design of Hitchbot turned out. Sure, they may not be very limber, and most of its body is recyclable, but the fact that it could have real conversations with the people encountered, as well as some emotional responses, it was ahead of its time. The little droid clearly got a lot of love from its creators, and it just wanted to make them proud by embarking on this grand adventure to the big city of Victoria.
Still, welcoming a robot into your car does go against pretty much everything we've been taught. But surely Hitchbot is more than nuts and bolts.
I would agree. Hitchbot is more than just nuts and bolts. For God's sake, the little bastard reps Coors Light. What more could you ask for? Now, CBS leaves this part out, but there were some safety measures taken to ensure someone wouldn't just abduct the beloved robot. Its location would be tracked thanks to a GPS and 3G connection. Along with that, it had a camera installed set to a timer that would take photos every 20 minutes, all powered through solar energy and later automobile cigarette generators by 2014. It was this simple design and concept that made people put their trust in Hitchbot and want to help it on its grand and noble journey across Canada.
You know the age-old question, can humans trust robots? Forget that. The question here is, can robots trust humans? And that's what Hitchbot's going to try to answer this summer.
Such a profound message. Maybe it's not humans who should fear robots, but rather robots who should fear us. Think about it. How many times have you been betrayed by a robot? Now think about how many times you've been betrayed by humans. I've been betrayed by humans. I'm still traumatized from the time my father took my nose and wouldn't give it back till I started crying. Now, before Hitchbot went global, the professors created a website explaining the goal of their experiment. We believe that through this artwork, we can learn a lot in terms of social robotics and how we approach robots in a non-restricted, non-observant environment. They also created social media accounts to document the little buddy's adventure, and given its successful trip across Canada, only taking about 3 weeks to complete, Hitchbot quickly became a symbol of trust. It's just a shame that trust would soon fall into the hands of Philadelphia. But before that, Hitchbot would take a pseudo-tour of Europe. They first landed in Germany, only taking 10 days to cross. Then it went to the Netherlands, where it would hitchhike for 3 weeks, and during these trips, Hitchbot would visit conventions, get its portrait painted, and even go on tour for a week with a local metal band. But this European trip wasn't as ambitious as the first goal of crossing an entire country. That is, until the European tour came to an end, where it was announced Hitchbot would be crossing the United States starting in Boston on July 17th, 2015.
I need your help crossing all of the items off my list.
As chronicled on social media, it caught a Red Sox game and visited Times Square through the kindness of strangers who became friends. But late last week, Hitchbot hitched its last ride.
Do you need a seatbelt?
Yes.
On Saturday, the robot was found in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, resting in pieces.
And just like that, the little robot that could had his life cut short after visiting the God-forsaken city of Philadelphia. It wasn't premeditated or anything like that. It's not like the last people to pick up Hitchbot brought them to Philadelphia with the goal of killing it. Basically, Hitchbot was traveling from Boston to San Francisco, and they would also be visiting some of the nation's most famous landmarks. A few that were planned included visiting Mount Rushmore and the Grand Canyon, with Hitchbot's next reported destination after arriving in Philadelphia would be the capital of the US, Washington, D.C. So I assume the reason why they went to Philly was because the Liberty Bell was part of their tour list. But as shown in the video, they only managed to attend a Red Sox game and visit Times Square before being brutally beaten in the city of brotherly love.
Today, video surfaced of the attack, but the robot's creators are not out for revenge.
Now, this clip doesn't exactly tell the whole story. While on a surface level, it appears to be the culprit responsible for the death of Hitchbot, an important piece of information this media clip leaves out was the fact that the last known people to have been reported with Hitchbot were both YouTubers. Jesse Wellens and Ed Bassner were a couple of content creators best known for their series of pranks. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, case closed. But that's not exactly the case. You have to remember, this was 2015. Most pranks during that era were fake, and they were amongst the latter. While it turns out the main footage was Jesse Wellens, who immediately became the prime suspect, they were also the ones to have submitted it, which wasn't an authentic surveillance cam as advertised, but instead their own craftsmanship. From there, a Reddit thread created a list of theories as to what happened that could have been one of the following. 1. They destroyed it for publicity, which, if true, will bite them in the ass. 2. After they found it was destroyed, they banked on the fact they last had it as a prank. This is the most likely one. 3. The same as above, except Hitchbot isn't destroyed, they have it safe and will reveal the fact when they come clean. 4. The same as number 3, except the Hitchbot creators were in on the prank and it was all planned in advance. Or number 5, there was never a Hitchbot. Turns out it was number 2. While it was pretty scummy to bank off the death of a beloved icon, at the very least, they weren't murderers. In the end, Hitchbot's killer was never found. Even after spending a couple of hours trying to find anything that could give me some lead in the right direction, in a shocking turn of events, I am not a detective, so it looks like all roads lead to a dead end where Jesse Wellens got the last laugh.
I'm sure it could have happened anywhere. We don't really think it has anything to do with Philadelphia.
And in a final tweet, Hitchbot said, "My love for humans will never fade." A thumbs up for people from the Hitchhiking Robot.
Even in death, Hitchbot still managed to impart some final words of wisdom. And you know what? I'll salute an absolute legend. Now, I'm not trying to clown on the brains behind this social experiment, but I think I speak for most of America when I say, it has everything to do with Philadelphia. Like, you have not seen what that city is like when they lose the Super Bowl. Heavens to Betsy, Hitchbot survived all of Canada, parts of Europe, and the US, but couldn't last 10 minutes alone the second they arrived in the godforsaken city of Philadelphia. So, if there is a lesson in all this, outside just avoiding Philly at all costs, it's that while most people are trustworthy and have a sense of humor, it doesn't take most people to ruin the fun for everyone. It only takes one. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about this because I found it to be a really interesting story, and if there is anything positive that came from it, it's that, in the end, Hitchbot did achieve what it sought out to do. For a brief moment, they brought the world together, and honestly, there's not much else you can ask for. That's really about it. So,